Yeah, good. The coffee tastes good. This is Cough On. This is Cough On. Cop On. God, that was a good start. Cop On podcast, powered by coffee, powered by joy, powered by the motivation, the enjoyment, the verve, the vim, and the vigor of chasing a quadruple. And I'm surrounded on YouTube by happy, smiley people. We've got Jack from Jack Mac. LFC on YouTube. Do check that out. Everybody who's listening to this, and we've got Brian who's joining us all the way from Hong Kong. We've got Alan in Ireland. We've got Doug in Scotland. Doug from the Dugout Football Channel. Check that out too. It is all really exciting, and of course we've got John Gibbons in the on the screen and back on Cop On podcast. John, welcome back. I love, John, how you said in your post-match review after Manchester United, how when you leave the house to watch the Reds these days, you feel like you're going to watch art, like Pavarotti, like the Three Tenors, when you go and watch the Reds. And I want to ask you, which elements of this team, which overtures, acts, arias, or recitatives are you enjoying most? What do you like most about the Reds these days, or what are one of the many things?
I think it is just the sheer quality, and I know that sounds basic, but the point I was trying to make with my Three Tenors comparison is that we are watching, be it in person or on telly, the people who are at the absolute pinnacle of their art and their craft, if you like, and that's from 1 to 11. You know, I would argue we've got the best goalkeeper in the world. I would argue we've got the best centre half in the world. I think we've got the best fullbacks in the world. Our midfielders don't look too shabby either, and Thiago is probably the most informed midfielder at the moment, certainly in the country. And then up top, we whoever we pick is just absolutely phenomenal, and these are wonderful times to be a Liverpool supporter, and we're so fortunate, and I feel very fortunate that I could be in my house at 6:30, jump on a train, have time to sneak a beer in, and then be in Anfield to watch these majestic performers and elite sportsmen, and you know that's fantastic. And so the just the quality and it takes your breath away. And that second goal, I didn't even celebrate properly. There's the video, isn't there, of James Milner who puts his hands over his mouth, and that's kind of why I think I made a very strange noise, Owen, when it went in, a sort of very very high pitched kind of yelp. Because just when you think you've seen everything, they do something else, and the passing around, the control of the ball, but then the boom, suddenly the creativity is there, and the pass over the top from Mane, and obviously the control of the finish from Salah just sort of took my breath away, really, and did very strange things to me. And so I think it is just the joy of feeling like you've seen everything, and then they just sort of take your breath away, and so that the ode to joy of this football team, to hammer the classical element even further.
I got it.
Is food for the soul. Food for the soul.
It is indeed. Play on. Exactly. Very good. And speaking about, strange noises, I was actually thinking about a question. I was thinking about the verb ejaculate, if I can lower the tone 3 minutes and 45 seconds into this podcast, but not as in, definition 1, to eject semen from the body at the moment of sexual climax. I've got the definition in front of me. But definition 2, to say something quickly and suddenly. And if you look at the Oxford Language Dictionary, for the verb ejaculate too, it says it's dated, so don't use it down at the Tesco's or the Asda or Revenue Shop. But it's to ejaculate also is when you're like, oh my god, if you're at the dentist, like, oh fucking stop, ow, this is also ejaculating in its own way. And there's a particular sound. You mentioned that you did a high pitched sound that I often associate with Mo Salah. Obviously, I watch it from many miles away. I live in France, and you can hear when Mo Salah has the ball, there's like there's a kind of scream of excitement going all around Anfield. It comes through on the TV, it comes through to my neighbours, it comes through the ceiling to my neighbours. I mean, he's already spoken to me about this because that's what I do as well. But there's a different sound. I don't know if anyone else has picked up on this when Thiago has the ball and he's doing these things, and it's almost every single time he gets the ball. where it's like, oh, it's like the person next to him is like, fuck, did you see that? You know, and it's this kind of ejaculation that it comes across on the TV. And I just wonder what it's like inside Anfield, John, just to go back to you, and then I'll bring the others in for a moment. But you know, inside Anfield, when you see Thiago, is it true that there are different sounds, or is that just my imagination?
No, it's right, and you know, similar to ejaculation, Owen. Sometimes the feeling just before is even greater than the feeling itself, and that is a little bit like Thiago. It is the anticipation of what he is going to do next, and then he still surprises you. And listen, this football team have got us all on the edges of our seats, but you just get even more so when Thiago's on the ball, because he surprises you. And I think I've got a really nice seat in the upper Kenny Dalglish stand, as it is known nowadays, and a lovely view across the pitch. And you can normally spot what a footballer is going to do next, because you've seen football play before, and you can see how he shapes. And you know, a centre midfielder gets it, and then he moves right and passes to the right winger, and then he you know, looks for the forward, and you know, passages of play we're all familiar with. Whereas Thiago, you know, finds passes that you couldn't even spot from your vantage point. And so I think that's the most exciting thing about him, is that he picks the pass that no other footballer would, and obviously executes it as well. So you do have that frisson of anticipation when he gets there, and that does strange things to men in their 40s all across Anfield, indeed.
Across the world, absolutely. Excellent stuff. Speaking about being inside Anfield, Alan, you went to a match since we last spoke. You went to the Benfica match at Anfield.
Yeah.
I mean, what a wonderful, wonderful experience. You were there with your son, is that right? Talk to us about that. How was that for you?
That's right on. Thanks. Yeah. Myself and Adam went. It was. It's like John says there. Like, John is lucky enough to go every week. For lots of our listeners that live all around the world, I'm all my life supporting Liverpool. I've been there loads of times, but when I was at that game 2 weeks ago, I was crying my eyes out, singing "You'll Never Walk Alone." Seeing the banner going around for the 97, because it was near the time of Hillsborough as well, and I could just tell you, it's amazing. The atmosphere in the stadium, even though I felt it before. Every time you go, it's amazing. So you're so lucky to be able to go every week, John. But I'll tell you one thing, you're right. The second Thiago came on that pitch, it was different. He is fantastic. I've been lucky enough to see lots of our great midfielders over the years, Gerrard, Alonso, Ronnie Whelan. I've seen loads play, and that chap is electric. He has the same love from the fans as Salah does, you know. And like John said, when he gets the ball, myself and the son were just amazed. Like, we've seen him play all season on telly, but it's not the same when you see the full pitch in front of you and you can see what's happening. You see the pass that you think he's going to do, and next thing the ball goes to the far side of the pitch, and it's just amazing. He in such a short time has become a fan favorite as well, and I don't know, I'm waffling on a bit now, but I'm still so excited after being at that game. So excited. And even my son turned around to me and said, "Jesus, Dad, you're getting a bit emotional." And I said, "Look, that's the way this club makes us feel." And I was so proud that I introduced it to him when he was 8 or 9. I brought him over there, and just standing there with him, I was thinking, this is his future now for the next 40, 50 years as well. It's just amazing. And Thiago, wow.
It's madness, isn't it? There was one pass he did against United where I think it was Matic was actually moving. He was running towards his own goal because they were, you know, looking lost like they all were. But instead of, like most people, even if they'd seen that the switch was on, because it was this sort of, you know, 50-yard pass across the pitch was on, they would have tried to play it over Matic's head. But he actually played it to where if you pause it at the moment of contact, that ball is actually right at Matic. But he knew that Matic was running backwards. And so Matic's momentum would take him past the ball, and the ball was along the ground, and it went and it found its man. And that That is genius. That is genius to actually have not just a picture of where people are, but how they're moving and how their momentum takes them to different parts of the pitch, and be able to pass the ball according to the space in what's happening in 5 seconds time or whatever. Like it's madness.
And he pins the ball 2 yards ahead of the player. So the player runs onto it.
When he wants to, and then when he wants it to land just at their feet, then he makes it land at their feet.
They don't have to break stride. He just puts it in their stride. It's just amazing. It's amazing.
Exactly. When he wants to speed up the game, and when he wants to slow it down, he'll play it slightly behind them so that they stop and go backwards, and it's like we recycle possession. Freaking genius! And it's so good that we're all appreciating it. Doug is here as well. Doug from the dugout. What are you appreciating most, Doug?
Oh, Thiago is he's like a conductor. He just conducts the play from the midfield. I thought he was I've never seen a player such as good as him. And I think we'll all be fortunate when he obviously does retire in like the next sort of couple of years or so, and we'll be like, we've never seen a magician as such as Thiago. We've never had a passer of the ball who just does these eye of the needle passes every single time, and he was just fantastic as Manchester United. And I think the one thing I can say about the Manchester United game, it was as one-sided as you can probably say, that it was probably a training exercise for us, because they never even got to us. They never even got near our midfield, never even got near Thiago doing his magic in midfield. And I love the fact that Paul Pogba has potentially ended his Manchester United career by lasting 10 minutes and getting spanked by Liverpool. No better way to go out.
He couldn't be bothered, could he? He couldn't be bothered. Absolutely superb stuff. Brian. There's so much joy, but there may be some more around the corner. Everton at Anfield. I mean, it's nice to have all these home games. We were at Wembley, and then we were at Anfield. It's all at home these days. Everton. I mean, would you be sad to see them go down? Would you laugh at them? Do you hope they go down? Do you hope they stay up because you enjoy whooping them? How do you feel about that?
I don't want them to go down. I want them to nearly go down right to the last moment and then just stay up. I mean, they're from Liverpool at the end of the day. I know we're supposed to hate Everton, but I mean, I don't. And also, we'd miss out on all those comedy moments. Every year it's some of my happiest moments have been watching Liverpool beat Everton. Origi, the last minute, that goal will always be permanently etched into my head. No, I don't want them to go down. A couple of weeks ago, I was convinced they were going down. I was thinking, I can't see them winning a game, looking at their fixtures and the way things were panning out. And Frank, football genius, was just imploding, and it was all looking like it was going horribly wrong. But then, they've crawled a couple of results. I think that last minute goal in their game midweek kind of helps us, because I don't know. I remember speaking to you about this the last time we played them. We just want to take all the emotion out of that game, because if we play them at a game of football, we'll comfortably win. But if it turns into a boxing match, then who knows what's going to happen. So I just want a nice boring game. I want us to keep the ball well clear from those guys. Take the bit of the emotion out of that game. Get the 3 points and get on to the next one. So no, I don't want them to go down. I think we should just be very professional when it comes to this game. Make it as a boring game as possible. A boring 3-0. If that's possible.
Boring 3-0. I mean, that would be absolutely lovely. Jack from Jetmac LFC. You're in the city of Liverpool with John. And what's the atmosphere like? I mean, are the Everton fans, have they been, have the Toffees finally been humiliated into a long and bitter silence? Or are they still droning on in their habitual depressing monotony? How are things?
You will get the odd bitter, mate, from both sides, that might be said. But a lot of Merseyside families have got half and half, really. I know mostly red from my side. My dad made me choose the right side of Merseyside. But
You've got a lot to thank him for.
yeah, thank God. But yeah, as Brian said, it's going to be interesting to see how much emotion does come onto the pitch at the weekend, because obviously, as the lads already alluded to, their footballing abilities is stark contrast, really. They'll never win us in terms of a footballing game, in game intelligence, really. And we see it in the past. Origi's been injured very heavily, shock and tackle. Richarlison, he's got that nasty streak in them, and it's whether they turn that game. And hopefully we don't get dragged into that. I'm pretty sure we won't, and we let our football do the talking, but we've just got to focus on our job. But yeah, I've enjoyed it. Pretty sure John's dropped a couple of messages to his Everton mates as well. And just wind them up. That's what it is. It's all about. It has been, especially in my lifetime anyway, but very long ago, Everton were competing for league titles, but they're very far distance from that anytime soon, mate.
Oh man, yeah. Well, I mean, what's it like, John? I mean, have you been? I mean, do you feel it? Ever feel guilty because it's like, shooting fish in a barrel, taking the piss out of Everton these days?
But that's it. I mean, you don't even really have to take the piss anymore because they do it themselves. So you just sort of, I do a bit of fake concern personally. Oh, how are you, boys? Oh, it's tough at the moment, really struggling, and oh, well, maybe you might win Saturday. You know what I mean, and stuff like that. And but then because they've got all their own jokes at the moment. They're just like, oh no, we're doomed. I've got mates who are convinced that they're going down, like convinced that they've had it and have been for a sort of month or so. I mean, they're all supposed to come around one by one, really. Others were a bit more optimistic in January or when Lampard took over and things like that. But yeah, it's obviously not improved enough. And yeah, they're so down at the moment, like you say. Oh, and it's like kicking a crying puppy, almost. So you just sort of watch it and as I say, pretend that you're full of concern, whereas really you're sort of sniggering around the sort of the back of your hand. But it is desperate, and obviously they're having to put up with the fact that we're doing so well, and there's a real strong possibility that they go down, and then suddenly there's a parade going around the city of Liverpool with a load of shiny trophies, which I think, I mean, I might, if I was at Everton, I might maybe just pack in the whole thing and get a new hobby, but that's a real possibility that it could happen. So yeah, we'll see. They'll probably be saved by the fact that we're in the Champions League final, so at least it won't be the Monday afterwards. But yeah, it's very contrasting fortunes, and like Jack says, that's not always been the case. There's at times, when I was very young, where both teams were in, fighting in FA Cup finals and even for league titles, and then even, throughout, my adult life, really, there's been seasons where they finished above us, and at the year we won the Champions League in 2005, they actually finished above us in the league, and both teams, go into the Champions League, albeit they go out in the qualifier, and so it's not always been like this. It's not always been as big a gap, but I think on Sunday we will see what a gulf in class that there is at the moment, because Liverpool are just playing so well, and it's not always the case that the best side wins a football game, especially in a derby. But I think the gap is so big at the moment, and as we saw that in Goodison Park, that I'm not going in sort of too worried at all, really, because I think the levels between the teams are so great that even if they play at their very best and we're off it, I think we'll still have too much.
But I mean, you could say, I mean, I would say, and I'm sure lots of people would agree that our second team is better than Everton, really. I mean, there are lots about our substitutes, and I include, sixth and seventh choice attackers in whatever order you want to put them, being Taki and Divock would both start for Everton, for example. But given that, as you say, there is a gulf, a chasm between us, John. Would you like to see a rotated team to or would you not like to take the risk against Everton?
I don't know if it's about necessarily risk. I think it's about what's best for the side between now and the end of the season, and I think he'd just like to keep them ticking over as much as possible. So I think from now till the end of the season, you'll see sort of 2 or 3 changes each game, but no real more than that really, and it'll just be a case of making sure that no one is playing every minute of every game and everyone takes it in turn, if you like, to get a rest. So with a one game, it might be, Fabinho and Mane that drop out, and then the next game it might be, they come back in and you see Henderson and Salah drop to the bench and things like that. And I think that's what we're more likely to see, because the quality is so high, as you say, Owen, sort of throughout. And look, we've got benches now that are better than some of the teams we've watched, and that's the sort of the reality that we're in. And so I think he's in a very enviable position, Klopp, because of the injury situation being so strong as well, that he's able to rest 2 or 3 and drop out 2 or 3, and there's no real drop in quality, but also the understanding between them all is so great that you don't see that go as well. And that was always the worry, wasn't it, with the traditional front three, if you like, is that they played so well together that when you brought someone else in, there wasn't just the drop in class, there was also the fact that the other 2 kind of didn't play quite as well either without each other, whereas now, there's 5 of them who all seem to get on, who all seem to have the same understanding, the same combinations, and so we're able to sort of, whoever you pick, everyone's happy. I could name a team now for Sunday and everyone could go, yeah, that looks good. And then, Brian could name another team with 4 or 5 different, and everyone could go, yeah, that's good as well. And so that's the kind of situation, the lovely situation that we're in and the manager's in. So I think, but he talks about rhythm a lot as well, the manager. So I don't think he necessarily won, many games where there's sort of wholesale changes or anyone not playing for, the real first team as being not playing for any considerable amount of time. I think it'll just be taking in turns to drop out, but keeping everyone ticking over and just keeping everyone at that very high level for the rest of the season, really, and hopefully for the peak time Champions League final at the end of May.
Well, let's hang on. I'm getting to the Champions League final. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But on a rotated team, as you said, Brian could choose something different. But John, if it was up to you, give me 3 names for your midfield. So, Klopp's taken ill, Pep Lijnders has taken ill, Victor Matas has taken ill. So, who's going to pick the team? They text you, Gibbo. They text you and they say, we need someone to pick a midfield. Who are you picking?
For Sunday, I think I'd go Fabinho, Henderson and Keita on Sunday. I think those are the 3, but I would go for it. I think they're all in good form. Keita obviously dropped out the last time, so bring him back in, and I'd be looking to give Thiago a bit of a rest with the idea of him definitely starting against Villarreal and then Newcastle.
It's a very good answer, although one thing I will have to insist on is on Cop On Podcast, we do not tolerate the pronunciation Keita. It's okay. Keita, as in Kate Adie, Kate Moss, or Kate Winslet, okay? And not the thing you fly. Okay, you can tell Neil Atkinson that, because I think he started this Keita nonsense. And I have to insist that it's Keita because, I don't know, he's a francophone, I know, because I live in France. I've no idea how you pronounce Roberto in Brazilian Portuguese. It might be, I don't know, no idea. But Keita, okay, for future reference, very important. Brian, are you going Keita in midfield or are you going somewhere else?
I am going Keita. I think John's thinking is perfect. I'd wrap Thiago up in cotton wool for that particular. We don't need him for that game. And
would you not wrap Fabinho up in cotton wool though? Because that's what I would do. I'd play Hendo at the 6, bring in Curtis. Or is that you don't like that one so much?
I don't know. I mean, it's still Everton, So, I mean, I know the shit, but anything can happen. And each take one game at a time, and let's win our next game. And I'd be more inclined to take who did you say? Bring I'd take Fabinho off and bring Curtis on when the game's wrapped up. Let's say it's 60 minutes and we're beating them, I don't know, comfortably 2-3-0, then I'd be more inclined to do that. But I just think we have to rock up to every game with the right attitude. We haven't won anything yet, really, and we're not entitled to, we can't just turn up and turn them over. We still have to, they're going to have a go for sure. And we just got to suck the life out of them in the first 20 minutes and just let them know that no, today's not the day, lads. Wait for another year, And if we give them, like, if you're in the the away dressing room and you see Curtis Jones instead of Fabinho on the thing, that kind of gives them a lift. And, I know Frank would just love to get a result, against Liverpool because he's a Chelsea player, right?
Yeah, of course he would.
The less said about that, the better, right? So I think we just have to squeeze the life out of him, get the job done, and then maybe take some players off.
Yeah, okay. That's a very convincing argument, I have to say. Although even if they do get a lift from seeing Curtis Jones on the team sheet, I'm sure Curtis can shut them up because I believe in his ability. I honestly think Hendo, Jones, and for example Keita in midfield should scare the living bejesus out of Frank as much as anyone else. But yes, I see your point. It's a very good point.
I believe in Curtis too, but I just think Curtis is at the stage in his career where, I don't know, there's a bit of, I wouldn't say there's a spotlight on him, but people are paying more closer attention to his performances, and he's a young player and he's got a big career ahead of him. I don't know if the Merseyside derby in a title run is the right game for him to put him. I mean, well, I preface this by what the hell do I know? I'd be more inclined to go with the strongest option that allows us to rotate as well and rest some players. And I think that's what John basically kind of outlined there. So I'm going to refer the honourable gentleman to what John Gibbons said earlier on.
Yeah, okay. Very good. Gary in the chat. Hello, Gary. He says, Elliott, Hendo and Jones in midfield. So they go. I mean, I'd be happy with that personally as well. Alan, where do you stand on the midfield selection dilemma?
I think, me, I don't like changing a winning team. I think you should stick to the closest as you can unless injuries. So I think I'd go with I would go with a full strength midfield. I'd play Thiago. Then you can print them off after 60 minutes or something if need be. But I do see the point in as well in rotation, like Fabinho does be rested a bit this season and stuff. So I wouldn't be too disappointed for Hender on the 6 either.
But when you say the strongest, sorry, Alan, you mean Fabinho, Thiago, and Henderson, or Fabinho, Thiago, and Keita?
Well, I think it'll be Thiago and Henderson for this one.
Okay,
this is a game for Henderson. This is where his powers come. Where there's a bit of a battle and a bit of a fight against Everton. You'll want Henderson in there, I think.
Interesting stuff. Yeah. Okay. That's good. Okay. And let's move forward for the last to ask Jack and Doug. What would you do in the front three, Jack? I mean, the riches. I mean, it's richer than a packet of rich tea.
Yeah. No, I've gone with Diaz, mate, and I think we've all watched Coleman on Match of the Day, and he's been at 6s and 7s. Don't even know how he's still a football player, to be honest. But that's one of the battles I can't wait to see, really. I think, just quickly touch on the midfield, I'd go with Thiago, Hendo and Fabinho, because I know Donny van der Beek and obviously the Portuguese lad for them, completely forgot his name, but they're probably their most technical players, so they've got Fabian Delph probably potentially playing that midfield, and he's been technically probably, would you say, one of their best players. Decorde's been an absolute shambles this year. Stark contrast to what he was at Watford the years prior to that. But yeah, Diaz down the left for me, mate. Mo on the right. Hopefully he's buzzing like all we've seen in the post match. He can't wait to play the Ev. Tell Thiago, wait until you play this lot anyway. And then I'd go with Mane through the middle, mate. I'm hoping we do start quick, similar to what we did with Man United, and then we can technically, obviously, I wish we had 5 substitutions, but that's only in Europe and the cups. And next season we will, but get this game over and done with, hopefully, potentially in the first opening 5 to 15 minute period, and then you could take your foot off the gas and then control the game, and then let Everton do all the running, and then you're preserving energy like we have been doing over the last couple of weeks, really, mate. And then you could probably make the main 3 substitutions, probably safeguarding Thiago, Fabinho, and then possibly Trent, depending on how his fitness has been over the last couple of weeks, and then another player, mate. But yeah, those 3, mate, for me.
Excellent answer. Doug, where are you on the selection quandary?
I'm quite in agreement with Alan and Jack. I think I've always been a case of never change a winning team. But the fact that Jack said Van de Beek and the Portuguese lad, I can't even remember his name. I think you were meaning Andre Gomez. Let's be honest. They ever shite. They ever absolutely shite. Like I watched them against Manchester United, and I almost was bored to sleep. Like I know Manchester United have been so bad as well, but it was two crap teams out there that were playing each other. And you know they have got a very lucky winner as well. But I just want to beat Fat Frank. I really do. Absolutely can't stand him, especially from what happened when he did when he was speaking out in Anfield when Chelsea played us as well. But whoever plays, I mean, for me, if it was me, I would go Fabinho, Thiago Hendo. Again, same as Manchester United. And I would obviously go Diaz, Mane, Salah, because I reckon that they ain't going to be able to handle us. If they play Michael Keane, then that's absolutely carnage. Seamus Coleman hasn't got any legs left. John Joe Kenny is absolute murder. And I can't believe that Everton have still managed to catch him when he was absolutely hopeless at Celtic. And I think he was maybe at Hamburg previously as well. Absolute murder there as well. Then you've got on the left Mikalenko, who... Look, Mikalenko is a good option for left back for them, but it's all about Jordan Pickford for me. If we can get an early goal, we know how bad they are when they concede. When they concede, heads drop. Boop. So, yeah, get an early goal, they capitulate.
That's the thing, though. With an Everton capitulation, there is the fear, the residing fear that they're going to just try and, go to, I don't know, just start just kicking us, start, pushing, punching us, headbutting us, do whatever they want, because, there's this weird narrative around football. Gary Neville the other day was, singing the praises of that little twerp who came on and knew how shite they were and just resorted to kicking our players. There's no grace in that. There's no, balancing the books. Because I'm shit, I can kick you, and that's supposed to be good for the club. That's absolute nonsense. If that was true, they could pick any of us to play for Liverpool, because we could elbow an opposition player, we can stamp on Sergio Ramos's ghoulies just like the rest of us. But you're supposed to be professional footballers. You know what I mean? You're supposed to have the sense of class, of responsibility. I mean, okay, maybe we don't associate that with football at all. Anyway, John, I don't think it will happen. By the way. This thing, because Everton are in such a position, they're just 1 point above Burnley. So I don't think they're going to resort to the violence that we've seen in the past, especially from players like Richarlison, aka the Rooster, aka the Cock. He's not going to resort to that. So I'm going to talk about happier things. I'm going to talk about Wednesday, the Champions League, Villarreal. At Anfield again. So many home games. It's gone Wembley, Anfield, and before that was Anfield against Benfica. This is just home, all the way. But Villarreal, are you going, John? I mean, are you? Do you think we need a massive result there to take away? I mean, are you worried about it? How do you feel about Villarreal?
Good, positive. I think they deserve credit for reaching the Champions League semi-final, and you look at the teams that they've beaten, and they deserve credit and respect for that. But at the same time, as far as Champions League semi-finals go, it's a kind draw for Liverpool, really, and we've got a great chance of getting into the final. And I think we are capable of getting a result at Anfield on Wednesday that puts us through sort of there and then, really. And so I think that will be the aim. I think that'll be the aim of the team, will be to not just to win the game, but almost win the leg on the night, really. And if you could take a 3 or 4 nil lead over to Spain, I can't see them overturning that, no matter how sort of hostile it is and how much they're up for it. Obviously, if it's a little bit tighter, if it's a draw or even a 2-1 win, say, then the return leg becomes a little bit more difficult. You'd still back Liverpool to do it, but obviously if we are able to rotate a little bit for that second leg or drop our intensity a little bit, then it helps in terms of the goals of the season being to win the lot. And so that's my hope on Wednesday, is not just that we win, but that we win well, because the games come thick and fast. And it'd be really nice, to basically get through and to kill the tie in the night. And the team are capable of it. We saw that, how they dispatched Manchester United 4-0. United, we can tease them as much as they like, but they were a Champions League level team. They were in that tournament this season, and we swiped them aside with ease. And so I think Villarreal will be tougher, because there'll be more up for it. It's a semi-final for them. I think they'll be harder to beat. But you look at the La Liga table and where they are, they're a level below Liverpool, and if we could show that on Wednesday, then that'll be fantastic. But either way, you're looking forward to it. Champions League night at Anfield's a special occasion. Always feel fortunate to be there. The first legs, the atmosphere is never quite as good as the second leg, because the second leg, it's all decided on the night and things like that. But I still think it'll be a great atmosphere. I still think the crowd will turn up, physically and metaphorically. I mean, and they want to, as I say, they want to get behind the team. It always helps when there's a new song to sing as well. Everyone's enjoying that at the moment. We're all humming it, walking around the house and things like that, aren't we? And going to bed at night and singing about Jurgen Klopp and to the sounds of the Beatles. And so that always helps. I always feel with it, especially with the Champions League one, if we've all got a new little ditty going around. So yeah, I'm expecting a great atmosphere. I'm expecting a big Liverpool performance, and yeah, hopefully a nice lead to take out to Spain. That means that we can relax a little bit, but I guess you do never know.
And then on to Paris, hopefully.
Yeah, we're all staying in yours, Owen, aren't we?
Well, that's the thing. I mean, I live in this small studio flat with my girlfriend. She's probably going to be all right with the fact that about 50 people have already sleeping on the floor. So we'll have to sort of leave a pathway to get to the bathroom and back. And maybe have to fix the door in the bathroom. But you're all welcome. You're all welcome. Absolutely. And just before you have to chip off, John, because I know you're a busy man. What's going on at the Anfield Wrap these days? I mean, is it flat out because you've never been so busy? Are you expecting a call asking you to DJ in Paris post match? What's going on over there?
Yeah, I mean, we are busy. Yeah, obviously, it's the games come thick and fast, and obviously we've got the subscription service. We're doing audio and video, and so yeah, there's still stuff going on every day. Obviously, we've had Man United to talk about today, and a Merseyside derby to preview. So yeah, it's been a very busy week. But listen, it's great fun. The team are playing well, and we're lucky to have the job that we have. When the team is struggling, but when they're flying, then you feel very fortunate indeed to be doing this for a living. So we'll look forward to the game on Sunday. We'll look forward to the game on Wednesday, and we'll be previewing the best we can. And then around the games, I think is where we do our best work. Both in terms of social media stuff and just generally trying to share the experience best we can with fans all around the world who we know aren't necessarily lucky enough to be there, but we want to sort of feel like the part of it will feel a little bit closer. And I think that's where we do our best stuff. So yeah, so straight after the game Sunday and Wednesday, if people want to access our post-match content. If people aren't subscribers, you can download the app and you get some free tokens and you can see what it's all about and enjoy it. But yeah, we hope lots more extra people come on board between now and the end of the season, because that always means the teams do well, of course, and that is what we all want. When the Reds win, we all win and all that. So yeah, it should be good, but it's always a pleasure to speak to you, Owen, but also obviously always a pleasure to talk about these Reds. So yeah, very, very fortunate we all are indeed.
Yeah, thank you very much. Do you ever laugh sometimes to yourself if you're, I don't know, you're out, you're alone, everyone's gone out of the office, you got a coffee, you're like, God, this is good. Do you ever when you think about, all the great interactions you've had with the players and the club and the fact that you're making podcasts and bringing people, you do it so well, bring people into the city to, feel the club. Do you ever is it ever funny to you, in a good way, the positive way?
I mean, it's if you look back on the journey of the Anfield Wrap and my own personal journey from being just a fan. I mean, I'm still a fan, obviously, but being someone who, would just talk to the mates down the pub about football to suddenly being a profession. It is crazy, and it is incredible thing that all of us have been able to turn it into work, and not just us, but obviously hire people. And there's 14 of us full time, I think there is now here, and so it's great to take young people on and give them the experience of making football content for a living as well, and they all enjoy. There is. Most days are sort of, fairly normal, really. You just, but then there are other days that are, a bit mad. And, you mentioned the DJing and stuff like that. I think that will always be, a story that I'll tell my kids and grandkids and stuff like that, doing the party after Madrid, because, I remember watching the videos when I was a kid of people talking about Champions League parties and the fans who broke in and and cleared out the buffet and stuff like that. On those old Liverpool videos, Alan will have heard all them, stories of the fans, getting in the fire exits and picked clean. There was there we go. Oh, and you've seen all the videos as well. That was the story. And I grew up on them, it disappeared in seconds like a cartoon, and I used to love all that. And fast forward obviously a few years, and I'm not just in the parties, but I've been invited and paid to work, and so it's incredible, and we are lucky. And you pinch yourself sometimes. We haven't got footballers coming out of our ears. Don't get me wrong; they're not knocking around all the time and asking if they can come on. But when we are lucky enough to speak to them, we do appreciate it. And hopefully, if they do get to a Champions League final, we'll have one or two interviews to put out.
Wonderful stuff. If any listeners don't subscribe to the Anfield Wrap, then please do immediately. But actually, wait, because Alan's got a question. Alan,
John, I'm just thinking of breaking into the backstage party at your shows coming up in Ireland as well. So hopefully I'll get stuck into your buffet there like the old days.
The Anfield Wrap buffet is decent, let me tell you. Let me tell you. Yeah.
Are we going to win all four, John? Just the final thing?
I'm starting to think that we're not going to win the league. To be honest with you, I'm starting to think the City are going to go clean through to the end, which is a little bit annoying. Obviously, you keep hope and stuff, but I think they'll just keep going. But I think we'll win the FA Cup, and I think we'll beat City in the Champions League final. And that'll be fine, won't it? Hey, that'll be all right.
I mean, to be honest, it's the journey. I've become very Buddhist about this thing. I'm enjoying the journey more than I ever have before, and that's already pretty much enough. I mean, even if we don't win any more, for me, I think it's just been such a season. But thanks very much, John. We're going to carry on, chat to the other guests, and take care, John. Absolute pleasure. There you go. So there you go, John Gibbons from the Anfield Wrap. Great of him to join us. All sounds very exciting. It's so exciting, the end of the season. Gary Richards is getting. He says in the comments, we'll get the Magret de Canard cooking for Paris. He's looking ahead, which is great, delicious. Duck magret, if anyone's not vegetarian who's listening. Very good French food. Some of it's absolutely delicious around here, I'm telling you. Jack, we were talking before we went before recording about your languages. Are you brushing up on your French? Are you that optimistic we'll get to Paris?
Might have to think of as well to just pretend to be at a French journal or something, and get in the VIP seats with the Kylian Mbappe, his mates and all that. So you never know. But
a converted Parisian.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure all the French wouldn't have a clue what I'm saying. It's bad enough I'm speaking to you. You probably like some days. What are you saying? It's as the lads already said. It's difficult not to look ahead in reality, but it's the objective of the players. I think you won't put they'll be the ultimate professional, but they're probably giddy inside that they don't probably know themselves every single day in training. They've got such quality, world-class talent within the squad that are capable of winning any football game, even if it was on bloody Mars, which still have a great opportunity. But but I watched Villarreal. For some reason, I watched the Villarreal game, but I wanted to know who Liverpool were facing in the semis, whilst everyone was probably watching the Real Chelsea game. But the only people that will beat us is ourselves. If we do what Bayern have done and Juve have done already in this competition, we're Real's better football teams than both of them combined. But we can't take these for granted, and that's why I say we obviously focus on the Everton game and then we focus on them, because they're a lot better equipped side defensively. I know, as the lads have said, they're dwindling in the La Liga, but from a tactical sense, Liverpool, when we have come up against opposition that have got in between the two banks of lines, we do present sometimes teams with opportunities within games. Not many, in fact, like literally 0.5, not many of them, but like even when Nunes come to the Benfica game, he scored about 5 offside goals or so. But I'm confident, mate, and I'd love it. We're just so blessed. Like, it's become the norm now that we're getting to Champions League finals. Teams in their history have never been to more than one, and we all know them, a certain club in Manchester. But it's unprecedented times, as everyone said on the show, mate, and long may it continue up Jürgen bloody Norbert Klopp. We love him.
We love him. We love him dearly. We love him dearly. Brian, I mean, that's looking forward ahead of Everton to Villarreal. I want to also just take a moment to look back, because we haven't even discussed the Manchester United game. Just because there's one stat that really struck me was that the last time Liverpool scored 9 in one season was in 1895-96. And I tried to have a look. That was before squad photos existed. You can find squad photos from 1897 to 98. But basically, like, it's been over, a century, like, I don't know. It's such a long time. And even in that season, we conceded one because we won one of the games 7-1 against the old Newton Heath. The rarity of going to your neighbours, your rivals, and winning 5-0 there, and then hosting your rivals and beating them 4-0, both of them at a canter. That was the thing that I took from the Manchester United game, was just the extraordinary rareness of it all. What did you take from the Manchester United game?
Yeah, well, I mean, I was cacking it, leading up to it. Everything said that we were going to beat them, obviously, right? No, surely we're going to beat them, but it's still United. And I think we've been trained like Pablo's dog, that as soon as that United game... Okay, good night.
Your daughter's come to say good night. Oh,
yeah, massive Liverpool fan.
Well.
Massive Liverpool fan.
Oh, well done. Very good.
Off you go. Go on. Okay. All right.
Good night.
Off you go.
Oh,
okay.
Nice.
Get to bed. Don't disturb Daddy when he's doing his important podcast.
Yeah.
Good girl.
Fantastic. Yeah, congratulations.
But like when when the game kicked off, we're just trained to be so scared of any United game. You're so used to being on the edge of your seat for all the 90 minutes, not just the 90 minutes the day before it, the hours leading up to it, just before kickoff. You're like, oh, we can't lose to these. Please don't lose to these. And for the first 10 minutes, I felt a bit like, actually, not for the first 10 minutes.
First
the
3 minutes.
Until few minutes.
Yeah.
Those 2 minutes. I was like, oh, God, it still feels terrible. It's only 2 minutes. And then that goal happened. And it was just beautiful. I mean, it was like the red arrows shooting down. It was so bad from United and so good from us. I mean, it was like an American football play. It was like red 72, red 46, go. And their shape was just all over the place. It was just, and then we scored, and as the game went on, it was just perfect, and it was just joyous just to watch it. We were just knocking the ball around, and Thiago was playing like he was in a FIFA game, and and the camera would just pan over to Sir Alex Ferguson. I'm like, chirpy chirp chirp, chirp chirp chirp, motherfucker. Who's laughing now? So it's like, I'm absolutely amazed at how our situation has gone complete full circle. Like, I remember very vividly and very clearly being in the exact same position. Actually, not as bad as this, because as Cara pointed out to Gary Neville earlier on the week, even when we were shit, we would still give them a game. Yeah. And we could still turn them over. And when we played them, it was the most important thing of the whole year. Like, it didn't matter what was going on. If we could just beat them, and they used to slag us off because of it. They were like, "Oh, this is your grand final. This is your Champions League playing us." You know, well, yeah, it was, and we showed up and we beat them many times when we shouldn't have any business beating them. But my God, that team is like it's like what not to do to a football club from the top right to the bottom. They're just, it's rancid. It really is. I mean, even when we had our dark days of Gillettes and Hicks, you know, we're still, you know, a club with soul, a working class club. We're a decent club. We got together and we did what we needed to do to get those people. They haven't got a clue over there. I mean, I feel sorry for them, you know, because you got the, you know, shaving off money, the stadiums falling apart. I mean, I think the recruitment policy has really killed them, because all it takes is 2 or 3 bad windows, and then you've got basically a shit in tube for the next 5 years. You know, re-signing Pogba, re-signing Ronaldo, just one thing after the other. But anyway, just to get back to your original question, it was beautiful. But I do remember clearly thinking, why am I shitting myself when these people are? This team is so obviously terrible. Until that first goal went in. Actually, the second goal, because I was still on edge. Okay. Because I thought maybe they could do something. And then the second goal, I was like, oh, what did I just see? My eyes. I had to go into the bathroom and wash them out with soap and water. We're like, oh, they're burning. The beauty's just too much.
Yeah. Yeah, it was like a vision. It was like a vision. That second goal, man. There's a beautiful graphic of, you know, all of the different passes and all of the touches. It was in the Telegraph the other day. I saw it on the internet, and it's brilliant. It would make a great T-shirt of you know, exactly all of the passes. Although what they didn't have in this, they drew straight lines for each pass. But of course, Sadio Mane's sort of banana ball, that beautiful curling beauty to Salah, and the ball that was spinning, and then his first touch and the finish. My word, the second goal. But Doug, you know, Eric Ten Hag is in. Gary saying in the comments, Ten Hag will fail. My favourite tweet of the week, perhaps even of the season, perhaps, was someone, I'm sorry, I forget who it was. They said, they're going to need 20 Hag. Because but they've got 10 of them. Will Ten Hag, will he, I don't know, will it take 6 years like Ralph Rangnick said?
I mean, you have to be an absolute magician to get them even challenging, because their squad is average at best. They've got a lot of prima donnas in their team. I mean, Pogba is the worst signing they could ever have made. The fact that Fergie let him go to then bring him back, it just kind of shows that there's so much wrong at the top of the board at Manchester United. And you have to ask yourself this as well. They have to get out of the way of buying 30-plus players. How many 30-plus players have we seen? Cavani. Like, they could have brought him about 3-4 years ago. Bastian Schweinsteiger was probably finished at the highest level. They brought him for like a year's pay packet. Falcao, when he came into the Premier League, he was finished as a top player. They need to get out of this habit. And they have so many players that are just stealing a living. Harry Maguire, 80 million quid. He's not even worth £8. He's worth about 8p. He is garbage. Absolute garbage. And the fact that they brought in Adam Wan-Bissaka, they need basically a drill to basically drill through their whole squad and basically say, right, you in the bin, you in the bin, you in the bin. Honestly, if I was a Manchester United manager right now, which I thankfully am not, I would get rid of all of them. I would get rid of the entire squad. It is average at best, and I think it's going to take. I think it's going to take a bit. I think this is going to take a long, long time. Manchester United fans need to be realistic, which they're obviously not. They're not going to be challenging for the title next season. Just get away from that already. Just get some realistic expectations. You'll be challenging for top four. You'll be challenging for Europe. You will not be challenging for the league. I can quite clearly say that as well. But I think Erik ten Hag has got a massive, massive job on his hands, and it's whether or not the Glazers back him. Because I think the biggest problem in Manchester United is not the manager, it's the players. And I think it's the boardroom level, because the Glazers have been leeching, and I like to call them leeches because they are leeches. They've been leeching money from Manchester United since they bought the club back in 2005. So whoever goes in there is Erik ten Hag. I wish him well, but I honestly have to say this. I think it's going to take 5, maybe 6, maybe 7. It's going to take them a long, long time to be back winning trophies.
It's a great answer, and I don't see why. Apparently, they've got a very strong youth team that have qualified for the FA Youth Cup final. Apparently, I agree. I just play the kids at this stage and just tell the rest to stay at home because they've already embarrassed themselves enough. Alan, I'd be interested in your opinion on Manchester United. But Doug was talking about the transfers. Just to have a bit of a recap, because I've got them in front of me from 16-17 season. They signed Paul Pogba from Juventus, £94.5 million. They signed Mkhitaryan, because there are lots that we forget, for £38 million, and Eric Bailly for £34.2 million. And they got Zlatan on a free back then. And then they signed Lukaku the season after. In 17-18, they signed Lukaku for 76 million, Nemanja Matic for 40 million, Lindelof for 31 million, and Alexis Sanchez from Arsenal for 30 million. In 18-19, they got Fred for 53 million, Diogo Dalot for 20 million, and Lee Grant, who doesn't count. In 19-20, they got Harry Maguire, 80 million, or 78.3 million pounds. Can you imagine? Bruno Fernandes cost 57 million. Aaron Wan-Bissaka, 49.5 million. Dan James, 16 million. Ooh. And then 2021, they brought in Donny van de Beek, 35 million. Amad Diallo, I don't even know who he is, 20 million. Alex Telles, 13.5 million. And then a couple of kids, and they got Cavani on a free. And then, and of course, last season, 80 million on Sancho, probably about the same amount in wages for Cristiano Ronaldo. And they need, obviously the rot comes from their recruitment. And I think Ralph Rangnick and Ten Hag from the outside seem to me to be like some of the most sensible decisions they've made in many years. And Ralph's making the right noises, I think, to actually just say, look, we need better recruitment. And he's honest enough to say that these players just aren't good enough. Are you worried about a revolution there, Alan, or do you think it would just take too long?
No, not worried about them. I'm still trying to stop laughing after all them boys you read out there. I can't remember half of them. God. But it does go back, like Doug said, they're Pogba. When they paid that money for Pogba, that was ridiculous. That was the typical Glazer family. Buy someone that's popular on social media. He's on FIFA. He looks good. Let's spend 80 million, 100 million on him. That was the start of their downfall, I think, when they start buying players for their popularity instead of their skill that suited their team. Now, I don't know enough about Ten Hag, to be honest, but I can't see anybody going in there and getting them to win anything within the next 10 years. Just too much dead wood. I respect Ralph Rangnick. I think he's done the best he can. when you bring in a manager and say, "Oh, he's our interim manager," there's nothing he can do. I think basically he's there taking notes to hand over to Ten Hag. He's going to say, this lad, out. There's no other reason to brought him in only to lay the foundation for Ten Hag, and like there's no fight in any of them players tonight. Not one of them played well, and it's not often I'd listen to Gary Neville for an hour after the game, but to listen to him going on about the stadium needs 100 million investment, the Glazers taking 25 million out of a company that's losing money. Like, did you hear his rant? It was beautiful. The best.
I listened to his podcast. Yeah,
oh yes,
the Gary Neville podcast. Yeah,
like I have sometimes I've respect for Gary, sometimes I don't. But by God, did he say it right? And as a lifelong Liverpool fan, it was a pleasure.
Yeah, it is a pleasure just generally seeing him upset. The amount of times he's tried to wind us up, but yeah, I don't know.
But he had good points though. Like his points were spot on.
This time, I mean, he's got a sort of, what do they call it? A machine gun. Shooting a machine gun when you're blindfolded at some Coca-Cola bottles. Some of the bottles are going to smash eventually, but most of them is just wild misses. His opinions, I find. But Jack, you've got to shoot off. Is that right? Sorry.
Yeah, no worries, mate. I was enjoying listening to how shit United are, so I was going to stay even longer. Well, thank you very much for having me on, mate. It's great to speak to Al, Brian, Doug, and obviously Gibbo as well. And always a pleasure. Hopefully, we'll get you on my show as well, boys, if he's free. But always a pleasure. Really do appreciate you asking me to come on, mate. Anytime.
Absolutely. It's a joy, as always, having you here and hearing your views. Thanks very much, Jack. And for the listeners, check out Jack Mac LFC on YouTube. Take care, Jack.
Have a good day, everyone.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, you too. Yeah. So we'll just sort of wrap things up anyway here. I mean, basically, we can all go with different teams against Everton. We can. Against Villarreal, though, are we agreed that we have to play our best team? Is that right? Any disagreement? Yeah, we're all nodding here. Okay, so the best team, is that Matip at the back, or is that Konate? I don't know. Brian, where do you stand on the old Matip Konate?
Oh, it's Matip every day.
Matip, okay, honestly. I agree. Yeah. Doug's nodding. Alan's nodding. Okay, let's try and find a bone of contention here. Keita, for me, gets the nod over Henderson every day. Alan's nodding at that. Doug, okay, well, there you go. So our midfield is Fabinho, Thiago, and Keita. And then the front three is the new front three, Luis Diaz, Sadio Mane, and Mo Salah on the right. Well, there you go.
Job done.
Job done. Well, there you go. Well, that's the team for Villarreal. That's the team that hopefully will take us to Paris up the road. Whoever you are, wherever you are listening to this, you're absolutely appreciated. Let me put it that way, because I really love the way that there are Liverpool fans across the world listening to this. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. This is why Cop On exists. Do get in touch, coponpodcast@gmail.com. Is there anything that we haven't spoken about? Does anyone have anything they would like to say in particular that we haven't done yet, or have covered all the bases?
I just want to think. I hope we don't take Villarreal too lightly. Because they are a very, very, very good side. They're more than the sum of their parts, and I think they're probably going to give us one of our toughest games of the entire season in Europe and in the Premier League. And it's no accident that Unai Emery. No,
Unai Emery.
Unai Emery. It's no accident that guy just he's a serial finalist in European competitions. Look, what he does is unbelievable. And again, if you don't turn up to that game really correct, then we have our pants pulled down quite easily. So I hope that we all, because the first game's at Anfield, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I just think we're coming into we've got 3 games in a row now, or at least 2 anyway. But these next 2 games we have to kind of not take our eye off the ball and not take anything for granted. And put all our energy into Everton, but particularly because I think everybody can agree that the Champions League is the one that we have. It's in our hands, right? That's the one that we're in full control of. So in many ways, that's very important, that game, that first game, because you say we want to go to Spain. We don't want to go to Spain with a 0-0 or a 1-1. Ideally, we'd like to go there with something to protect, right? So yeah, I'm just hoping that we give it absolutely everything on. Is it Tuesday or Wednesday?
It's Wednesday after, yeah.
Wednesday.
So we've got Everton on Sunday. Then on Wednesdays, Liverpool, Villarreal at Anfield. Then we're away to Newcastle, which will be extremely tricky at breakfast time. And then on, just a few days after that, it's the 3rd of May. I think that's probably a Tuesday. Yes, Tuesday. It's Villarreal, Liverpool in Spain. So, and then we've got to play Spurs on the 7th. So yeah, there's no
fun all around.
It's non.
Well, hopefully,
go on.
Hopefully, we give Mr. Emery a bad evening on Wednesday.
Yes, very good. Yes, hopefully.
I was just going to say, I think we might see maybe a couple of changes for Everton. Wouldn't be too surprised if Robertson's given a rest and maybe Tsimikas comes in. Yeah, I think Tsimikas has been fantastic. Whenever he has played, I think he has just stepped up to the plate. And I think we might maybe see Kanate in against Everton as well. But those be the two changes I would make.
Yeah, very true.
Good to see Harvey Elliott back in the team again at some stage.
Yeah, he's going to be lacking rhythm, but yeah, maybe for the last half hour.
I think Jurgen should play the under-18s.
Good idea. Someone will stick
hasn't he, like some people were saying that like last few games he has really put out very experimental teams against Everton. That must hurt, and still battered them. Each time we've played them recent years, it hasn't been our strongest 11. He has definitely rested players playing against Everton. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a 16-year-old getting his first start for Liverpool.
That one when he picked Shaqiri and Origi out of the blue and we won 5-2 at Anfield. That was unforgettable.
You should do a show about that ball boy at some stage. Did you read about that guy who did Trent, who gave the ball to Trent against Barcelona? Apparently he's tearing it up in.
He is. He's the season. Yeah, I've been watching. I've been watching Oakley Cannoneer. Yeah, I've been watching I always watch the kids play. I watch anything in the Liverpool shirt.
Would you watch that on LFC TV?
Yeah, and you can see a lot of the highlights of the under-18 games, and they're really good.
That good.
He is that good. He is for his age. But he's got a lot of potential. This kid, very lethal, very sort of, Jota-esque. Obviously Ian Rush-esque. We hope he gets there, but he's like one of those clinical strikers. You know what I mean? Just, one of the ones where you look at the highlights. And he's like, well, all he's done is taken one touch and then kicked it in the goal, and it looks easy, doesn't it? But of course, it's not easy. to make it look easy, So he's really good. He's a really good young kid. But you were talking about Costas the Greek, at the back, man. Wow, what a player! I totally agree with that. Go on.
At the Benfica game he was playing, and we were right on the end line of any road end, and for that corner that Kanate scored, he was whipping in them corners. And literally just before Kanate scored it, myself and my son turned around together at the same time and went, what a ball. Because the way he whipped it in, it was like my son is a goalie as well. Like it looked like it was heading for the goalie's hands, but by the time I got there, it was 5 foot away from him, 6 foot away from him. And the balls he was whipping in all night from that seating position, it was just beautiful. And we're just saying how lucky we are to have Robbo and him. Like I'd have no fear of him coming into any game.
One of the pundits I was listening to, I can't remember, it was Jim Beglin, or because I hate Jim Beglin, or it was something, but they were just talking absolute nonsense, and I was like, oh, how come you get paid to talk such crap? And they were saying, Liverpool, look, the Liverpool team now, they've got players in every position except for the wing backs, he said. And it's like, if Robbo goes, who have you got? And I'm like, Tsimikas. He's brilliant. The jump off is not much in between Robbo and Tsimikas. He's been absolutely exceptional. Any other team he'd be playing, he'd be a starter for sure.
Absolutely.
And Gomez has been pretty handy actually in at right back. I thought, so far I'm so happy to see him back in a Liverpool shirt and contributing to games. It's I think sometimes we can be pretty harsh as fans. You just out of sight, out of mind, and then you start thinking, "Oh, maybe we should sell him on and stuff." Like, no, keep him as long as we can. Well,
I agree with you. And I thought the last game, I forget which game it was, that Gomez played instead of Trent. He had a fantastic game. He had great crosses in, and I remember thinking at the time, that's a player that's after being practicing that position. Like he's obviously working hard and training. Because
he knows he has to play that position.
Right? And that's a sign to me as well that he's not going anywhere. He's been told, he's been told you're covering centre back and you're covering right back, and he's working on it because you could see in that last game, at least I thought I could. You could see how much he'd worked hard in training at that.
He'll
position.
be back a centre back eventually. A couple of years' time, he'll be back in there. Yeah. He's the future of like we have to have three top centre backs at any stage, and the ones that we have now eventually Matip and Verge will eventually move on in like about 20 years time, and then when that happens there's going to need to be some backup. And I just think it's crazy. Just the idea of selling him to Arsenal is just like no, please don't let that happen.
Or Newcastle or someone else might come in for him. I'm not sure. We'll have to see what happens with
60 million, maybe 60 million.
They might pay it. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, God, Newcastle, though. I mean, I won't get into what their owners have been doing this week, but you can look it up yourself. It's quite sick. But no, one last thing I was actually thinking about that I forgot to mention earlier was that I totally agree. We've spoken about it before that complacency is probably our biggest enemy. Is if we turn up to either Everton or Villarreal thinking that we're gonna play the same as we did last time. Like, why should that even matter? It shouldn't matter. But I trust Jurgen to sort of, be very on top of any kind of complacency. He was shouting at Virgil in a recent game. I'm not sure if it was the FA Cup or the one after against United, but he was absolutely laying into Virgil. He was looking like he was a little bit lax at times, but I don't think that would happen. But another enemy that we have is what I saw in the Manchester City first half, not the FA Cup, but the Premier League game at the Etihad. And that was something that surprised me, and that was nerves. Yeah. And I don't know if, maybe not against Everton, maybe not against Villarreal, if the first leg goes well. But then, I don't know, against as we get closer and closer to the end, I don't know. What do you think? What do you think about it? I mean, is it something that just happened in the Manchester City game?
I think that Man City,
from it, or?
Yeah, I mean, I trust this team completely to a man. They're just, every single one of them are captains, and I just think we have to realize that Man City really are that good. They're once in a generation good. We're once in a, both managers are just saying that's the best opponent I've ever had in my entire career. And that's Pep Guardiola saying that, Pep Guardiola, I think his latest thing is saying, they might be the best football team in history. He's talking about us, and so when we're playing against them, I just think it's such a high level. So there's 1 point separates both teams in the past 2 years or something like that. And so there's going to be nerves, I think, in that game. And I the good thing about us and our nerves is it comes and there's a phase in the game, but then we move past it, and then we regain our composure and we slow the game down. We grab the ball. It's a bit like Alisson. Alisson can make a howler every now and again, but he completely forgets about it instantly. You can tell. Yeah. There's and his teammates know that as well. He knows that, and so as a team, as a unit, we don't get flustered. Teams are going to put us under cosh occasionally. The ball may not bounce the way we want to bounce, and there will be moments every now and again where another team will have 10 minutes, and maybe we do a couple of sky balls and things not going, and the crowd starts to hum and ah and go, Jesus, not now. We're so close. Get control of it. But I always trust this team to eventually sort it out. And especially like if it's a first half performance, I know get them into the dressing room more times than not, whatever Jurgen Klopp is saying to them. And I guarantee, I know he's not screaming and shouting at them. I think he's just saying, be brave, play your game, get on the ball. Why are you playing the way you're playing? You can play better than this. You know, in a straight game of football, you guys win. So play football. And so I just think that was, it was such a big occasion. It's the biggest game. Man City, Liverpool is the biggest game in world football right now, right? So I think there was a bit of that edging in. I don't know what you guys think.
Yeah, what do you think? If it's the Champions League final, will our experience, stop us from being nervous, or could you see it happening again, Doug? What do you reckon about holding?
I think it is a good point. The complacency. The only team that can beat Liverpool itself is Liverpool. Getting into obviously the complacency, having certain nerves into it as well. I do look at the fixtures, and obviously City have got the easier running as well. But I look at the games that they've got, like Leeds away, Wolves away. They're not easy. They are not easy at all. And then you look at what we've got. We've got I think it's like Newcastle away, Tottenham at home, Southampton away, Villa away, and then obviously Wolves at home. It's just take one game at a time. That's what we all say, is take one game at a time, and it is going to be whatever happens. It is going to be a very, very interesting end to the season for sure. And I saw that Erik ten Hag's first game in charge will be against Liverpool potentially. So that's quite funny. But no, I think that this team is very, very special, and like Brian said, I trust this team with every bit of my heart that I've got.
Excellent stuff. Alan, I'm going to give you the final word for today. For those listening, I've just put the fixtures up on the screen here. We've got Everton, Villarreal, Newcastle, Villarreal, Tottenham, Villa, Chelsea, Southampton, Wolverhampton Wanderers, and possibly a Champions League final to play that's left. Alan, how optimistic are you feeling at this point?
Like the two lads, I have faith in this team. And I think the way we're playing, we can beat anyone. It's like 2019 all over again, where we just win, City win. It's like we're gonna just at 1 point is killing us, but I can't see us losing any game with the way we're playing. If we keep playing our game, we can beat all of them. City have the experience of winning the title so many times, but we've the experience of winning it and losing it in the last few years too. So I think a bit of hurt in the players as well is what's keeping us going as well. They don't want to lose the title by 1 point again. So I have great faith in this team. I think this team's going to, apart from maybe the Premier League, I think we can win the FA Cup and the Champions League.
Great stuff. And time will tell to see if Hodgie gets a result. You're probably listening to this, some of you, maybe after Watford versus Manchester City and the 5-0 to Woya the Wovers. But I want to thank you all for watching, for listening, for being in the comments as well on YouTube. Do get in touch if you like, coponpodcast@gmail.com. And thank you very much to my guests, Brian and Doug and Alan. Doug, what's going on at the dugout these days?
Yeah, I've got the Friday LFC focus tonight. I've got the two lads from the Copite, Mick Moran and Jay Pearson. So that should be very, very interesting. As well, also got Connor from the Cup Council, Dan from the Mighty Reds Television as well, and Steve Plunk as well, who I think he's been on Redmen TV, I think, as well. So yeah, I've got that tonight, and I've also got a big match preview as well for Everton later on as well. So yeah, two good shows tonight. Come and check me out.
Fantastic. There you go. Check it out, the Dugout YouTube channel. Thanks a lot, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure. And we'll just see where the red roller coaster takes us. This is it's not even a roller coaster, isn't it? It doesn't go down; it just goes up. So it's the Red Rocket. It's the Rocket Reds. Thanks very much to everybody. Take care, and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you.